What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the stimulus package update, daily news, pretty much everything you need to know about on a daily basis, money, investing, the stock market. Remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new updates. I will keep you up to date with everything. Now that the physical infrastructure package has now passed the House and the Senate and is off to the president to sign, which he has not done yet, we have a bit of dissension between both the Republicans and the Democrats, even though they should be celebrating a victory of passing the bipartisan infrastructure bill, $1.2 trillion, a physical infrastructure bill that both Republicans and Democrats have been trying to pass something like this for years. Yet, Republicans and Democrats are both fighting amongst themselves on a passage of a bill that should be celebrated, something that's going to create millions of jobs for the country called the American Jobs Plan. It's going to send billions of dollars to each state, infrastructure, roads, bridges, clean drinking water, upgrade our airports, our ports. Literally, ports are just behind like no ever. And we have just dozens and dozens of ships waiting because our ports are so far behind. Our supply chains are so far behind. I mean, our physical infrastructure needs upgraded across the country. We're ranked 13th in the world behind a dozen other countries and falling. This will help us catch up and will create millions of jobs over the course of the next 8 to 10 years. Yet Democrats are slamming each other and Republicans are slamming each other over this. Democrats can now move forward to passing the stimulus package, but here's what they're saying. The Democratic senators or independent senator Bernie Sanders and Democratic Representative AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, are slamming their own Democrats over the Build Back Better, the physical infrastructure passage, over the deficit demands. AOC did not vote for the physical infrastructure bill. She was one of the 6 Democrats to vote no. And, well, here's what went down. Senator Bernie Sanders and AOC are slamming Democratic lawmakers who held up the passage of the Build Back Better Act, the stimulus package, by demanding to see analysis on how it would impact the budget deficit. The House passed the physical infrastructure package with support of 13 Republicans late Friday. By the way, if those 13 Republicans would have voted no, the bill would not have passed. Just for reference, just so everybody's clear. Because 6 progressive Democrats, including AOC, voted against the bill. If those 6 Democrats voted yes, it would have passed, and they would have voted yes if there would have been different timing on the bill. AOC and the other progressive Democrats, including Cori Bush, wanted the stimulus package to be voted on at first, which was the original plan. The physical infrastructure vote and passage deal was reached after progressives to back the physical infrastructure bill, which they held up for months in an effort to push moderates to back the bigger social safety and climate bill, the stimulus package. If moderates agreed to back the Build Back Better Act after a cost estimate came back from the Congressional Budget Office. The vote on the Build Back Better Act, the stimulus package, was postponed to later this month after 5 moderate Democrats demanded to see the analysis from the Congressional Budget Office on the bill's long-term impact on the budget Democrats. Remember, they can only afford 3 no votes by the Democrats, so even only 5 people demanded this. That's enough to tank the bill and have it not passed. They ultimately agreed to back the Build Back Better Act by the week of November 15th, which is in about a week from now, if the Congressional Budget Office report doesn't come back before then. If the Congressional Budget Office estimate is consistent with the cost projected by the White House. But their stance prompted criticism from Senator Bernie Sanders, who questioned why the lawmakers were not similarly concerned by the Congressional Budget Office analysis showing the physical infrastructure bill would increase the federal deficit. Bernie Sanders says, quote, interestingly, the conservative Democrats want to make sure the Build Back Better is fully paid for at the exactly the same time they voted for the physical infrastructure bill that, according to the Congressional Budget Office, increases the federal deficit by $256 billion, Senator Bernie Sanders tweeted on Saturday. Not very consistent, as you can see here in this tweet. Now, I do want to note here from this tweet from Bernie Sanders that that is what the Congressional Budget Office says. But I also do want to note that we had a Republican senator on the show quite a while ago when they were passing this in the Senate, that when this Congressional Budget Office report came out, that said that the Congressional Budget Office wasn't giving them credit for everything. And the Republicans, this was back when they were voting on it in the Senate. Remember, they had 19 Republicans vote on the physical infrastructure bill in the Senate. So there were 69 votes in the Senate. Remember, they needed 60 to pass it in the Senate. Mitch McConnell voted for it as well. Bipartisan. There was 50 Democrats, 19 Republicans that voted for it in the Senate. And I don't remember who the Republican senator was. I'm just kind of going off remembering what he said. He said that the Congressional Budget Office didn't give them credit for everything because they were using leftover stimulus money that was going out to the states. And they were using leftover stimulus money from the unemployment money that, remember when this was back a few months ago, when the Republican governors were opting out of the unemployment bonus money. Remember how the Republican states did that early? And now the unemployment bonus is all over everywhere. But when the Republican governors opted out of that early, they were going to use that money for, and this is just one thing, I guess there was a few other things here. They're going to use that leftover unemployment bonus money, which is billions of dollars, as one thing to pay for the physical infrastructure package. But the Congressional Budget Office didn't give them credit for it in the package. So apparently it's not quite $256 billion in deficit. And I'm not choosing sides here or anything like that. There was actually a Republican that said that, and this is Bernie Sanders kind of bashing his own moderate Democrats. He's kind of a progressive / independent Democrat. But this physical infrastructure package does kind of add to the deficit. But regardless, it is something that is really needed to be done. Both Republicans and Democrats have been pushing to add physical infrastructure for many, many years. There was kind of a running joke that Physical Infrastructure Week has been going on for over 5 years. They've been trying to get this physical infrastructure package done for many, many years, and they finally got it done. Democratic Representative AOC says, welcome to Who's a Deficit Hawk Anyways? Basically slamming the other Democrats from the House that are demanding a Congressional Budget Office score and that this bill be fully paid for to the 100% when the physical infrastructure package wasn't fully paid for, saying where's the debt concerns are made up and the Congressional Budget Office scores don't matter when it came to the physical infrastructure package. Meanwhile, the Republicans are slamming each other as well. Here are the 13 House Republicans that defied Republican leader of the House, Kevin McCarthy, and voted for Biden's, I don't know why they call it a $550 billion bipartisan infrastructure bill. The reason they say that is because it's $550 billion of new money and the rest was old money. It's very confusing when they do this because they used old stimulus money that was left over and then they used new stimulus money. It's very confusing when they say that. They really should just be congruent and call it a $1.2 trillion physical infrastructure package or the American Jobs Plan. When they start throwing around, they throw around all these different numbers. They throw out 550 billion, then they throw around 1 trillion, and then it's 1.2 trillion. Confusing to everybody, but Yeah. By the way, the 13 Republicans that voted for the physical infrastructure, Don Bacon of Nebraska, Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania, Andrew Garbarino of New York, Anthony Gonzalez of Ohio, which I believe he was he played for Ohio State and football, and I think he played in the NFL, right? Yeah, he played for the Indianapolis Colts. Pretty cool. Representative John Cato for New York, Adam Kinzinger from Illinois, Nicole Malotakis from New York, David McKinley, West Virginia, Tom Reed of New York. He's one of the co-leaders of the Problem Solvers Caucus. Chris Smith of New Jersey, Fred Upton of Michigan, Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, and Don Young of Alaska. Now, what's interesting here is they actually had more votes from the Senate for Republicans, 19 of them, including Mitch McConnell, leader of the Republicans in the Senate. Even though there's only 50 members in the Senate and there's like 200 and some Republicans in the House, and yet they only got 13 Republicans in the House to vote for it because Kevin McCarthy, leader of the Republicans in the House, basically told them all to vote no because Kevin McCarthy is against it, even though Republicans in history are for physical infrastructure. Kevin McCarthy is just very against voting for pretty much anything for underneath Biden, and there's a very divided Republican versus Democrat time right now, honestly. So Kevin McCarthy is just kind of told all the Republicans to vote no for this, even though 19 Republicans in the Senate, including Mitch McConnell, voted for physical infrastructure. And physical infrastructure has long been a both Democratic and Republican thing that both parties have pushed for. Texas Senator John Cornyn told reporters ahead of the vote that Mitch McConnell wanted to help to try to demonstrate that the Senate isn't completely broken. And that's because physical infrastructure is something that has long been needed for our country. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump had urged Republicans to vote against the bill and often trashed it. And Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said that any Republican who votes for this bill would be a, quote, traitor. Yeah. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy whipped against the bill and predicted at a news conference last week that almost no Republicans would vote for it. But ultimately, 13 Republicans defied him and voted to send the bill to Biden's desk. Here is Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal, leader of the Progressive Caucus, leader of 96 Democrats in the House, on this.
With more in it, Alex, than even what was laid out in the Biden framework. So now we have paid leave in there. We have an agreement on pharmaceutical drug pricing. We have immigration. We have really a remarkable package that at this point is about 2.1 trillion. So I think this is a really fantastic agreement for the American people, and delivering the infrastructure bill was a true honor to deliver that. Progressives delivered that bill. Without us, it would not have happened. And we delivered that bill to the president, and he's going to be able to sign it.
Listen, major kudos on all of this, and you should be lauded for getting this all together. But to your point of looking colleagues in the eye, did you look in the eye of 6 of your progressive colleagues who you know voted against infrastructure? We're showing them on our screen. Did you know they were opposed? And were you aware that it was just enough of a number to actually send a message, but not enough to stop the infrastructure bill from passing?
Yes and yes, we did. And listen, they would have been with us had we reversed the order of the bills and done the rule first and the BIF second, which we tried to get for quite some time. We were not able to get that, but they would have been with us if we had done that. But they really also had tremendous principle in feeling that, you know, they were, look, this is a hard situation where trust has disintegrated on so many levels. I have been very clear, Alex, to never call out people because I believe we have to work together. And I think we've just got to recognize that we have very slim margins. The Senate has to recognize that we have slim margins in the House. The House has to recognize the Senate has slim margins, and we collectively have to recognize we have slim margins. That's what leadership is about, is getting us to a place where you can do what you need to do, and you can also allow some space for members to be able to do what they need to do. So we delivered enough votes to pass the bipartisan infrastructure bill, as we said we would. And frankly, it also made more Republicans vote for the bipartisan infrastructure bill so that it could be more bipartisan. Because I'll tell you, had they not, had they not voted no, then fewer Republicans would have voted yes. And so I think this is a big win for everyone.
Yeah, I'm just counting up Republicans. I believe there were 13, I think my addition is correct, who voted yes, who crossed over there and did that. Can I get some of the details of the reassurances that you did get about Build Back Better that made you agree, okay, we're going to push through infrastructure now?
Well, we worked for hours, and people were saying, our leadership was saying, you have to do this, you have to do this. But listen, negotiation takes time. This was between me and members of our caucus, and Josh Gottheimer and members of their caucus, and we sat down and we worked out the language of the statement in some detail so that we all felt comfortable with it. We looked each other in the eyes. We made commitments to each other. They made them directly to me, and I think that is, it took some time. But I think this is where we have to be careful. If you put up a vote without consulting with the caucus, with both sides of the caucus, this is what's going to happen. And we've signaled that again and again. But last night we were able to take the time we needed and be able to work together to get this done. And I really give credit to Josh and the six for sitting down with us for such a constructive conversation and for committing to move the Build Back Better Act forward. And I believe them. They will.
Did President Biden tell you that Senators Manchin and Sinema are on board with Build Back Better? I mean, because those two names have become very familiar in the vernacular of Americans, sitting around watching news and watching this unfold. I mean, they have long been the potential stumbling blocks.
Conversations with both of them. I will say that, the conversations with Senator Sinema have been really productive. And I think whatever assurances she has given to the president, we did make the determination weeks ago to trust the president on delivering us 51 votes in the Senate. I mean, that we had decided that that's what we were going to do. But yes, I've had enough other conversations with other senators, as well as those two, as well as the president, where, I don't have 100% certainty, but I feel that we need to trust the president. This is what he said he would do, and I think he'll deliver on it.
So yeah, as you can see here, there's a bit of a dissension between both the Republicans and the Democrats. And remember, it seems like the Republicans and the Democrats are farther away than ever between coming back together. It's a miracle that they were even able to agree on the physical infrastructure package, physical infrastructure is something that you would think that they would be able to agree on. That's something that when Republicans were in power, which was not that long ago, when we had former President Donald Trump as the president and Republicans were in charge of the Senate. Basically, Republicans were in charge of 2 out of 3. Republicans wanted physical infrastructure. Now Democrats are in power. Both parties wanted physical infrastructure, and they were barely able to get physical infrastructure through, with just a few Republicans to actually even for physical infrastructure. Republicans have long wanted physical infrastructure, but it just shows you how divided both parties are. Remember that there were Republicans that helped to write that bill, that when the bill came time to vote, some of the Republicans that helped write the bill didn't actually vote for the bill. That's how divided they are. They helped write the bill, yet when it came time to vote for the bill, didn't vote for the bill. So literally just in principle, didn't vote for the bill. And remember, there's not a single Republican that's going to vote yes on this next stimulus package. And there's not a single Republican that voted yes on the third stimulus check package, the entire package. But Republicans voted yes on the second stimulus package, which was in December, literally a month before the Democrats came into power underneath Biden in January. So Republicans were okay with stimulus in December, but in January, they were not okay with stimulus anymore. So that just shows you that it's just a lot of this is just a political game. I mean, because if you think about it, Republicans were okay with stimulus in December with the second stimulus check package. Mitch McConnell was okay with it. Republicans were okay with it. But a month later in January, they were not okay with stimulus anymore. It's just, if you really think about it, it doesn't really make any sense. So I remember not a single Republican voted yes on the third stimulus check package, but they were okay with it just a month before in December with the second stimulus check package. So it's not like much changed really between that. So nonetheless, it's just, and now the next thing is that we have the debt limit. And, I personally think that Chuck Schumer made a mistake there slamming the Republicans. And I think that we could be in trouble here because if the Democrats can't get this package done in time with Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema over there with the Senate, I don't know what the Democrats are going to do because now that he's basically blasted Mitch McConnell, who helped them pass the debt limit last time around. Now Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are vowing not to help them around next time around to raise the debt limit. Now that would be okay if Democrats can pass this next stimulus package in time, but can they do it? Or is the country going to default? Yeah, that's why if I was the Senate Majority Leader, I wouldn't have blasted anybody that helped me pass a package. I would have thanked them, whether they're Democrat, Republican, anybody that helped me pass a package from the other party, I would have went over and shook their hand. I mean, those are the type of people you want. If they're helping you pass a package from the other party, you want those people on your team. Like you want to those are like the type of allies you want, especially when they're from the other party, right? That's exactly what you want because you don't get people from the other party, no matter what party you're on. When you got people from the other party helping you out occasionally, those are the type of people you want helping you. You don't blast them right after you pass a package or a bill. So now he's kind of put himself in hot water and the country in hot water. So, and then Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema really need to get on their horse and agree to this because we need to pass this package for so many different reasons. The debt limit just being one of them. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything. Make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on new videos. It's completely free to do so. Literally just click subscribe if you haven't yet, and then click the bell icon that appears next to the subscribe button to get notifications when we go live, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you up to date with everything going on here in our country and with this next stimulus package. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus package video next. And this video is how there's two big Social Security increases, two bills that were just proposed and could be coming out here in the near future. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.